Okay, we're going to pick up on part 2 of Watch the News with me. And now on this special about the cover-up, we're seeing imagery supposedly that's being filmed in Italy. And we're going to pick it up here.
Small-town parish priest deals with death on an industrial scale.
Authorities no longer knew where to put the coffins. The saddest thing is that these dead were put so naked, so alone.
Okay, did you notice there looked like security guards there so nobody gets in to watch a filming? It's a movie. There's not a corpse in that casket. It's just a movie.
For 5 weeks, Rome's streets have been empty. There's barely a soul at its centuries-old landmarks amid the government-ordered nationwide lockdown.
They could have very well just said, "We're filming a movie. Please, nobody interfere."
School teacher Marzio Toniolo.
There's your sun symbol right there, even though it's meant for, quote, the elevation of the host.
Watches the Pope's addresses from home these days. His mum and dad are nearing 9.
Okay, did you see that? There were the triangles. Top of the pyramid, the triangle.
And a pandemic is at his door. Marzio's prayer.
They sure look like there's a pandemic. Or do they look like they're just actors in a film?
Pretty simple.
The situation isn't that great. We are just thinking about surviving.
The spread here appears to have slowed, and the statistics suggest the country may already have passed its peak of COVID-19 cases. Italy illustrates...
Now that's kind of what you have to watch out for, what's going to be happening. All the sprays that are used and everything. That's what you have to watch out for, not the stupid COVID-19.
It's the dangers of late, uncoordinated and localized measures.
I think what it highlights is that we need to think about elements of national coordination.
Okay, now keep watching her. She keeps looking down. She's reading a script. She's reading a script. She's uncertain of her lines. Watch how she pauses in the middle of sentences. She's fairly good at reading a script, but to the trained eye, you'll see she's just reading a script.
When you are responding to outbreak, alerting and enhancing your surveillance system.
See how she keeps glancing down?
Activating all mechanisms that bring together a strong outbreak response.
See how she paused? Oh, let's go to another country. Because it's everywhere.
The nation, right on China's doorstep, is one of the few seemingly winning...
There's what you have to watch out for. All these goofy people in costumes spraying something. God only knows what they're spraying. And if you breathe that in, trust me, it'll make you sick.
War against COVID-19, going from 900 new cases each day to around 50, all without locking down cities. The success is all in the preparation and testing. South Korea boasts the world's most expansive, well-organised system.
It spans everyone from sort of mild symptoms to more serious symptoms in folks who've been in contact at various degrees to infected people.
At least 300,000...
Look out, here it comes. Look out. You're going to get a swab test. Look at the guy looking at you. He's looking at you like, I'm coming. Open your mouth, dude.
People have been swabbed. Medical centres,
oh, even the monks get their temperature taken. All right, now look at how all these people in costumes are intruding in a person's privacy. And that's kind of what it all represents. We're now going to overwhelm you. You have no privacy and we control everything, even your body.
And even revamped telephone booths. The government learnt the lessons from the 2003 SARS.
Okay, now we're going to go into some former BS. This is, I will call this stacking. This is stacking one box on top of another. And I did a little video on boxes. And lo and behold, I got several people kind of interested in it. But it's just the idea of taking one lie and then take another lie and stack it on top of that. And then another lie. So we're going to go back and talk about other lies, all the other nonsense viruses.
2015 MERS outbreaks.
They learned lessons that were absorbed.
There you are. Look at how she's reading. Here she goes. She's the reader.
Within the country and were used to strengthen their health system. They also had very good and clear communication from the government, so twice daily briefing to the community, which helped the community understand the scale of the outbreak.
Experts credit Singapore's tracking system with its impressive numbers.
Singapore has been one of the more successful models for dealing with the pandemic, and the primary kind of strategy for Singapore has been to trace and isolate. So from the beginning, there's been a large team of people in Singapore responsible for finding the people that are sick, for doing the contact tracing.
Yeah, find them, hunt them down. Get some dogs trained. They can sniff. Get some dogs trained. They can sniff out COVID-19, and they'll track you down. Oh, Lord help you if you are sick with COVID-19. They'll subject you to all kinds of medical torture.
Isolating close contacts of infected people and just making sure that the chain of transmission stops.
Publicly available databases list the number of cases.
Chain of transmission. The only chain that's being forged is a chain of slavery. Everything is being curtailed in people's lives.
Basic details of patients, and local maps show where the coronavirus clusters are.
Look at that. Now that's proof. If you put a bunch of dots on a map, that's proof.
So from the beginning, Singapore's approach was to put all of that information out there so that people know the extent of the spread and can understand and grasp the nature of what's happening, in the hope that that would result in calm rather than panic, and to an extent that's worked.
Experts predict South Korea may be the first Asian nation to become COVID-19 free.
Lots of graphs, lots of statistics, which are all lies. But if it's done in sort of a professional manner, it looks like a professional statistician did it, you're going to believe it.
France is in lockdown.
Okay, how do you like that term, lockdown? Man, that sounds like a term that's used in prisons, lockdown.
Its health system simply can't cope with the coronavirus's incredible spread. 4,000 people have already died here. Firefighters were ordered to help overstretched ambulance crews. And by chopper and train, critical patients are being moved to hospitals outside the country. Medical intern Elodie Vieira.
Box, yes. Let's get into the box, that's your mind.
Has been thrust onto the front lines.
It's something out of the ordinary, so we're never ready for this, but we have no choice. It's part of the job and we're here to help. We do what we can.
It's not clear why France was not.
You all notice the music that plays when these kinds of documentaries or specials are aired. They coordinate things with a musical background. I don't know if you've ever seen how films are created and they get a musician and they get a whole bunch together and they'll sit them down and play the film, and they'll show them certain things, and they'll try to use the music to evoke emotions. So there's kind of a scary or nerve-wracking music going on, almost irritating, to let you know just how deadly this virus is.
Impacted so severely, or if anything could have been done to prevent it reaching such a scale. French officials declared shutdowns relatively early.
Okay, there you were at the Eiffel Tower, which incidentally was one of the first major electricity collection devices, harvesting electricity devices used, and the same one who designed the Eiffel Tower helped to bring us none other than the Statue of Liberty. Even though it's a false god, it also was an electrical harvesting device. You can see my little video on the water tower.
Yet still allowed municipal elections to go ahead in March. The situation is likely to get much worse.
Okay, now the media is going to have a prognosis.
No nation has escaped its destructive grip.
Whoop. Sorry, I went backwards on you there. Okay, I'll get this towards the end here. Now look at her. Oh, she or maybe he is infected with a deadly virus. Look at that smile. You know why they're smiling so much? Because they're on camera. They're now movie stars.
Relieved.
I mean, I was just kind of like, whoa, that's crazy.
Okay, now watch your eyes. Watch your eyes. She's kind of making this up, and you can tell by the movement of her eyes in the direction. There's a field called neurolinguistics, and if you study neurolinguistics, it'll tell you when the eyes are moving in a certain direction, you can kind of pretty well tell where that person is in their thought life.
And honestly, I was just sort of like, well, I'm glad I know, and that I've been isolating just in case. I will say, like,
see how she looked up and she said,
anxiety about it, like when I was still coughing, and like I was getting.
See how she looked away? Now she looks down. She'd like to snicker because she knows it's all BS. All right, this is kind of a freelance, made-up story. She's kind of improvising, and she's trying to use her mind and her thoughts, and she'll have pauses. It's all BS. And look at on her shirt there. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it could be strong indication of the positive, negative, the male, female, the two poles.
A little short of breath.
New York, California, and several other states have ordered lockdowns. Governors are fighting for federal government supplies and support.
Trump tweeting today that the federal government is only a backup for states and that the complainers should have been stocked up and ready long before this crisis.
Yeah, stocked up. We should have all had all kinds of masks ready and rain suits and what they call ventilators, that I used to call respirators. But yeah, we should have had millions and millions of them, like we're at war. Which, incidentally, we are at war in a sense. It's a different kind of war, but it's a war.
This is hit, but governors say the federal government is now competing with them to buy those supplies, forcing them to bid against each other and FEMA.
I am asking healthcare professionals across the country, if you don't have a healthcare crisis in your community.
Yeah, we don't. And I could prove it to you if I could go into the hospital, but I'm greeted with an armed guard with a taser. That's why they're there, people. That's why you have armed guards now at the hospitals. They don't want you to see that they're empty.
Please come help us in New York now. We need relief.
This, as the nation's second largest city, tells people to wear masks.
But when you have to go out, we are recommending that we use non-medical grade masks or facial coverings and not take the ones that are reserved for our first responders.
The US doesn't have a universal healthcare system. Americans' access to healthcare typically depends on their employment. US media have reported many people who may have been infected were concerned about medical costs and didn't seek help.
Okay, watch out for that testing stuff. Don't get it done. The test could be giving you something. That's kind of the law of reversals. I'll try to make a video on that, but actually it's the solution that becomes the problem. So they're injecting you with a vaccine. God only knows what's in it. They stick a swab in your mouth. God only knows what's on that swab that goes in your mouth. So nobody's thinking of it that way. Rather than a testing, it's more of an injection.
Worsening the outbreak.
I hope very much that out of this terrible, terrible tragedy, we do some fundamental rethinking about...
I hope you'll be listening to Bernie Sanders.
Getting the uninsured access to the care they need is a top priority for President Trump. We are already rolling out the $1 billion in funding from the family.
Well, that's great. Let's just print some more money. Just print it, quote, out of thin air. By the way, folks, that's where all the money comes from, out of thin air. You need to study up on the Federal Reserve System.
First Coronavirus Response Act to cover providers' expenses for testing and diagnosing the uninsured.
Some have blamed Donald Trump for the scale of the current crisis. Critics claim the president was asleep at the wheel, that he implemented travel restrictions and sent federal aid far too late. They say he repeatedly dismissed concerns about a US outbreak as COVID-19 was ravaging multiple nations.
The virus that we're talking about having to do, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat, as the heat comes in. Typically that will go away in April.
Almost everybody that we see is getting better.
Yeah, they're getting better because they never had it. Or if what they had was just a common cold or a slight touch of a flu virus, of course they're getting better. Because it's nonsense.
It could be everybody, too.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. And this is their new hoax.
This was an unexpected, once in history event, and they got off to a...
Did you notice? Did you notice? Notice he said the word event. It is a scripted event with actors. It is not real in the sense of flesh and blood reality. It is a created, scripted event.
Start President Trump as well as the federal government, but they've since found their footing. More than half of all of Americans now approve of President Trump's job in handling the coronavirus crisis.
The coronavirus crisis could cost Trump his job. His biggest success as president has been in boosting the economy and employment. The pandemic has put pay to those achievements.
But that all could have been just misleading in the sense that the real thing behind all this, bring down a lot of small businesses, bring down the middle class, and all you're going to have left is large corporations, and a lot of poor folks.
Achievements months out from the presidential election.
President Trump has an enormous opportunity to respond to this crisis, respond to it well.
Okay, that's a key word, opportunity. So going back to the Chicago School of Economics, if you look at my video on that the origin of the virus is in Chicago, because it's an economic virus. You create a crisis, and then once you realize it's done what it needed to do, you take advantage of the opportunity. What do I mean by that? Well, buy up the little businesses that are failing or going under. They can't but help, but maybe they'll have to sell and get out. And they'll get swallowed up by big businesses, okay? That's kind of what it means. It's an opportunity for the rich to buy up more and get richer.
beat expectations in terms of the number of sick and dead, and bring the economy back to where it was. If he's able to do that, he will actually end up being in a stronger position.
The prognosis is bleak for the United States. Experts predict COVID-19.
Yeah, experts, right. They're actors playing a part, playing out a script. There's not experts shown to you on television anywhere. No experts. If you believe them, it'll lead you to disaster. There are no experts shown to you on television news or any such news. None. Zero. They're actors playing out a role in a script.
Will kill hundreds of thousands of Americans. Doctors have warned they may not have enough supplies to meet demand, that they'll soon be forced to decide who gets treated and who gets left to die.
Okay, now they're going to play God. So I think what I'll do, I'll end the video here, and I'd like to thank you for watching. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you going this far in the video with me. Take care. This is the end of the video.